Since February 2018, the crack team consisting of an old hipster, a rookie, and Tyrod Taylor's biggest fan record from a secret location in the heart of Scotland. Their aim is to try and dissect all things NFL. If you want their opinion, and if you can find them, this is the American Fitbaw Cast.
Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the American Fitbaw Cast. Why are you laughing already, Steve? What's that?
Because I had 38 in my head and I thought, oh, Gav's messed it up, yeah! And then I realised it's me.
Didn't we just 10 seconds ago have a conversation of how it was 39?
What was the title of last week's episode again?
Steve Goes Senile.
Yeah, well,
Steve Goes Senile Part 2. Where we have to remind Steve that he's senile.
Probably.
So, this episode, as ever, I'm joined by my comrades, my compatriots, Andrew and Steve. How are you guys both doing?
Good.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
So, guys, last week we ventured out to the NFL Live in the capital, Edinburgh. What was your takeaways from that?
I thought it was brilliant. It was a great event.
Thoroughly entertaining.
I thought that Michael Irvin is absolutely hilarious.
Bonkers, but the good side of bonkers.
Oh yeah, he is off his nut.
Yeah. The speech on pressure when they were doing the football in the bucket challenge was just got
amazing.
funnier and funnier because he was about to take his pass, he stopped and he goes, and pressure's all about, and you know this is the kind of stuff he would have done as a player. He's just nut but good nutter.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant.
So I thought the insight as well was incredible.
Yeah. So we had Neil Reynolds was the host, Kurt Warner, Michael Irvin, and Cliff Averill.
Yep.
And Willie McGuinness.
And Willie McGuinness, sorry, I forgot Willie McGuinness there.
How can you forget him? As soon as he walked in, I was just like, by God, he is massive.
He is. He's built
ginormous.
He's only, well, I say only. He's 6'5", right? He's not, you know, I mean, the prototypical players now, 6'8" is maybe closer to your normal, the big guys. He's a monster because he's built like an absolute tank. He's clearly not, stopped working out since he retired. I was just like in utter amazement at the sheer size of him.
Huge.
What do you think's taller, Willie McGuinness or Steve's dishwasher stacked on top of each other?
Actually, I want to work that out.
Steve, for the listeners, how many dishwashers have you got?
3.
Steve, for the listeners, how much did you spend on a toilet brush?
£65.
So you might have heard of Matt Money Smith from the NFL. Well, we've got Steve Money Houserath. Overall the event was great. I think one quick thing I thought was worth talking about was when Willie McGuinness was asked the question about what do the Patriots, or who's better for the Patriots, Brady or Belichick?
Yes.
And then he starts giving this sort of real politician's answer, and Michael Irvin just gets up out his seat and just starts sweeping the carpet
in front of him. Yeah, I was so confused.
No one knew what was going on.
So he's literally just rubbing this carpet.
Yeah. Willie looked at it and then just thought, I'm going to carry on talking anyway, so carries on talking.
And then it was eventually Neil Reynolds is like, what are you doing? And and Michael Irvin was like, oh, just moving all these eggshells.
Just moving all these eggshells out of Willie's way.
Yeah, just sweeping them all.
Was that meant to be an impression, Steve?
Was it bad? Oh, well, okay, right.
So yeah,
in my head it worked okay.
It was hilarious. It was literally definitely for me the funniest moment.
I didn't know what to expect. I thought it would be very much sit down in a chat and maybe you get a bit of insight and a bit of story about them, but I did not expect the hilarity and the entertainment level bit.
They absolutely nailed it.
I mean, it was when Cliff came out and within his third sentence, he's talking about all the gangs of Scotland instead of the clans. I was he won me over at that point.
Yeah, that was good.
Yep, that's okay.
Yep, that was good. That was good.
And it just snowballed from there. It just got better and better. I almost felt because it was the last night of the tour as well, we kind of got them on their final hurrah.
Yeah.
I think they were letting loose a bit. They'd been through a lot of the questions. There was only one really random question from the back that I can't even remember. Everyone was like, No, I don't know the answer to that. Who was the first guy that could do something?
Oh, it was a trivia question rather than a
Yeah.
Yeah, an
insight.
actual insight. Yeah,
It was who invented the shotgun, was it not?
that was it. And it just went, no idea.
Yeah.
I was like, stock answer from it. It was like weird. Anyway.
The one thing I thought, that, and there's a small criticism in it, was the questions. I would have, and I know you can't control the fans, but it would have been good to have like something before, like that recapped all the questions they've already had. Because when they gave the answers, I wasn't really nothing really meant anything to me. It was very like...
It was the rest of it. It was them having the fun with the crowd.
Yeah.
And then when they started rabbiting through the stories or going back through like the video and talking about the things where, okay, yeah, they'd maybe done it a couple of nights, but that seemed way more...
Yeah.
Genuine? Is
Yeah.
that the right word? Do you know what I mean? Whereas the questions, they wanted to ask, but they're a bit like, yeah, well, yeah.
Like, especially
Or they
around-
didn't understand them half the time, I think. Because you'd see like Willie like looking at Kurt, and Kurt's like, yeah, he's saying this, but they just can't understand
Yeah.
the accents.
So I think overall, it was a 10 out of 10 experience for me. I think.
Thoroughly.
Oh, definitely. If you get the chance to go to one of these events, if you've not been to one before,
Do it.
go.
Even if you're new to the NFL
£7 a
as well.
person as well.
Yeah.
Absolute bargain for an evening
the
like that.
Manchester event was rather poorly attended due to Man United
Yeah.
playing that was,
On the
that
same
was
night,
sick.
yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do with that.
That's a shame. Well, I feel sorry for the NFL guys that have come over.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, so that was awesome.
definitely worth it.
That was awesome. And then we had a nice chit chat with the guys from the NFL Scotland.
And full 10 yards
yep.
as well, yeah.
Yep. So that was nice to speak to those guys. So yeah, lots has happened in the NFL over the last few days as well. So just a quick recap: Frank Clark to Steve's Kansas City Chiefs today.
For the listeners, Steve is wearing a Kansas City Chiefs top today because he's the man of 32 teams.
No real team. Well, partly got team. That doesn't matter. We're not going to go into that.
Hipster,
Yeah.
Glory Hunter,
So Steve,
one of the two.
seeing as you're our resident Chiefs today, how do you think that trade went down for both sides?
So it was Clark at 26 and coming off a 13 sack season.
Yep.
And arguably he's been really good. But he had something like 72 quarterback pressures or something.
Yep.
Well, I think it was the number. Contract year. Whether the Seahawks were almost forced to get rid of him because of the Russell Wilson contract, I don't know. However, there was rumours a couple of days ago Clark might be on the trading block. Chiefs have swapped in for this year's first round, which is pick number 29. Second round in the 2020 draft,
Yep.
and swapping over third round picks this year, which the Seahawks then go back 8 because they would have picked earlier than the Chiefs. Chiefs
Yep.
actually go up. For getting Clark, and yeah, okay, you had to re-up his deal, but I think that's pretty bloody good for the Chiefs. One for the swear jar. God damn it.
That wasn't
Does
too
that count
bad.
as well? Did we? Yeah, but
Yeah. So they,
actually, I'm quite liking the fact that
they traded away an older D Ford for a second round pick, who they would have had to franchise tag, or who was going to be franchise tagged, or was he franchise tagged?
He was tagged and traded, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it would have been re-upped to a similar kind of contract.
yeah, that's what I'm
anyway,
just going to
'cause that's
get.
the kind of
So
money it's gonna
money-wise,
be. Yeah.
they've spent maybe a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but they've got a younger, better model.
Well, it's certainly better for their scheme because Clark's very much
Yep.
4-3, which is what the Chiefs are moving to.
Yep, from the 3-4.
Ford was 3-4, yeah. So it kind of a better fit for everybody. It kind of works out well for Ford going to the 49ers and Clark coming over.
And the Seahawks had to do something with the contract they gave Wilson. There was no way they...
I think it was as much that as anything else.
Do
So
you think it's a fair haul for the Seahawks?
I think so too. I think a first round, you can get something out of that. The second round next year gives you an opportunity again.
There's a lot of defensive talent in this
Yeah.
draft.
I suppose,
So
yeah,
if they are looking to replace him through the draft, they've obviously now
they've
got 2 first
a
round
lot of
picks.
good choices.
yeah.
One of them is going to be an edge rusher.
Yes, they're going to
No
get
questions
someone
asked.
either at 21 or 29.
Yeah.
So
good two shots. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's at the minute it's fairly. I think it's slightly more in KC's favour, but the whole tell is how he actually goes in his contract. If he, in the next 2 years, if he repeats consistently at double-digit sacks minimum all the way through, absolute slam dunk for the Chiefs. If he falls and wavers off, you're kind of then going, oh well, maybe the Seahawks got away with it a little bit and got actually really good return for him when, for whatever reason, his play declined. But that's
Yep.
hindsight is always a wonderful thing, isn't it? At the moment, I think it's slightly more in KC's favour, but I'm not against it. It works. First round value, Amari Cooper's first round value.
So we've seen D Ford traded, who was tagged. Frank Clark traded, who was tagged. And now Robbie Gould has said that he wants out of San Francisco, who was also tagged.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a strange one for me.
Haven't got the full story, but the little bits I've seen, that seems to be very much he wants to do the quote I think is he wants to do what's best for his family.
He wants to go back to Chicago.
I think, yeah.
Do Chicago have much to trade at the moment? They've already traded Khalil Mack this year.
No.
For Mack, so they don't have a huge amount to actually play with in terms of stock.
And what would you give for a kicker? And Robbie Gould he's a clutch kicker. There's no doubt about that. And so I'm thinking back to
Robbie Gould, maybe a fifth.
But it's
well,
that,
what I
you're
was
not
going to go
get
back
any
to.
better than that,
So
I
remember
think.
the play last year? I want to say it was in the playoffs where they doinked it. What was the kicker called again? It's gone in my head. He was the Dolphins kicker. Remember he hit the
Bears.
Yeah, from the Bears.
I know
I'm gonna have
what
to
you're
look this
talking
up
about, but
he's now been cut.
Parker?
Cody Parker.
Cody Parker?
Cody Parker.
Is that right?
Parker. Go on, keep going.
Yeah,
As soon as
so
we've got it right.
Cody Parker is what was in my head.
I think it's
Gav is busy trying to talk and type at the same
Cody
time.
Parkey with a Y.
Oh, close.
So yeah, he obviously hit the crossbar or the post. I think it was I can't remember the game. Was it the Vikings? I can't remember. But he had a lot of misses anyway. But yeah, what would you give for a kicker? Doesn't feel like anything higher than a fifth. Because if you're going to draft one, you're going to get him either undrafted or in the 7th round.
Yeah.
Money wise, it costs you nothing in the grand scheme of things. Even with him being franchise tagged, you would take him for, I think he's getting something like $4 million, which is really good for a kicker. But in the grand scheme of the
Yeah,
salary cap,
buttons.
it's tiny. You wouldn't worry about it. So that seems to be where things could go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the 49ers will just stick him for this year and keep him around.
Then let him walk.
And then just let him go back somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gives him 1 year of.
Do you think that he because
statistically was he not one of the best?
Yeah,
if not the
definitely.
best,
He's definitely in the top
for
3 at
last
least.
season. Yeah.
Is it just a case of he wants the chance to win something because he's older now, or is it he wants paid? Because he could go.
I would say that it's due to the wanting to win because Chicago's fortunes have turned around so quickly. He's got a better chance of doing something with the current Chicago squad than where he came from than he will have sticking around with the 49ers. If it was purely in the money, he would re-up with the 49ers because the 49ers want to give him a boatload of cash. But I think it's the whole fact that he doesn't want to be... I'm assuming his family are still in Chicago area, and he just said, I'm going to go and play here for 2 years and I'll just commute, inverted commas. Hell of a long commute, but you know what I mean?
He's not getting a train in the morning.
Whether he flies in and out, for a couple of days, I don't know how he's going to do it, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's more family than that. But.
So it's one that we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, it's draft season, and the draft is tomorrow, and we're doing our mock draft a little bit later than we did last year.
Yeah, we have replaced Mike Mayock as the de facto day before the draft.
Assuming that I get this edited out tonight and you have listened to it tonight and before tomorrow.
Which you will, Steve, so thanks.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure I can do my side of it. It's whether people listen to it in the next 24 hours.
Well, if you don't listen to it, then...
You'll know, because you'll know what's happened in the draft and you'll know if we're right.
Yeah, so there you go.
We got a few of them.
Last year we got a few right. We got a few teams.
Quentin Nelson at the Colts and Sonny Michel at the Patriots. The reason I remember that is because that's the two I called. The rest of them I got wrong.
I can't remember.
We got somebody else right, but for the wrong team. But we got them at the right.
We got them at the right place. It was the wide receiver that went. Did we call him
DJ Moore?
Yes. Did he go to the Panthers?
Yeah.
Yeah, but did they?
I want to say we also got. Did we get Leighton Vander Esch right in terms of? I want to say pick, but no.
No, it was the other. It was Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert.
Because we said it was funny if someone called Dallas would go to the Eagles, and then he went to the Eagles.
So our strike rate isn't too bad considering it's a minefield to deal with so many variables. And also, we didn't project for any trades. So just quickly before we go into our mock draft, is there anyone that you think will jump up or jump down in the list?
I've got one for jumping down, which I was going to call out because it's one of my picks anyway. Patriots at 32. I think there's a high chance they'll trade back.
Like what happened to Lamar Jackson last year?
Yeah. Somebody high up in round 2 will probably want to jump in just to the tail end of round 1. Patriots are forever trading back, stocking picks and not worrying because they get, generally speaking, get excellent value from everyone they pick.
I think the Cardinals will be involved in a trade of sorts. Whether that's for the first round pick, I don't think it will be. Probably more likely that it's for Josh Rosen.
Yep.
And it's whether that affects the first round or further down. But it's going to affect the first 2 rounds anyway.
Yeah. I don't see... If he's going, I don't see him still being with the Cardinals by the end of round 2.
Indeed.
I think someone will have pulled the trigger before then.
Yep.
But the teams that need the quarterback, it's how far they're willing to risk another team pinching them.
Yeah.
You know.
So Gav, do you want to take us through the format for our mock draft today?
Yep, so Andrew will be picking first, then he'll be followed by Steve, and then myself, and we will all have 45 seconds on the clock, so you've got to be quick with your pick. We done a mock draft yesterday.
A mock draft?
A mock draft, and we managed to miss out the guy that pretty much broke the combine, which was good for us.
Well, we had Sam Darnold going out of the top 10 last year, did we not?
He did, yeah.
There's always someone that slides.
Yeah.
It's just who.
So that mock, I'm just going to firmly chuck out my memory. I'm going to have so much deja vu, though. That's the thing that I hate doing mock drafts.
Yeah.
Because when we come actually doing this, I'm like, wait a minute, didn't I pick him yesterday? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Just the usual for you then, Steve. So yeah, we're going to have 45 seconds on the clock per pick, and we're going to go straight into it. Andrew, with the Arizona Cardinals at number 1.
I'm on the clock.
You're on the clock.
So everyone expects that the Arizona Cardinals are going to take Kyler Murray, quarterback. I'm going to screw our mock draft up because we are not
I thought you were going to do
taking
that.
Kyler Murray at number 1.
Wow.
I think the pick that the Cardinals should make at number 1 is Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle.
Wow, that's a game changer.
Double whammy. 1 for not the obvious, and 2 not even the backup obvious.
Nope.
So you think that
So I think that the Cards have enough on the edge with Chandler Jones, and Terrell Suggs will do a job this year on the other side. They're obviously moving back to a 3-4 as well, having been a 4-3 last year. The last time Chandler Jones played as an outside linebacker in a 3-4, he led the league in sacks.
Wow.
Defensive tackle is more important.
Game changer already, Steve. That must change your thinking. So if you're San Francisco right now, John Lynch is taking all sorts of calls if Kyler Murray does not go at 1. He's taking that right in there because...
If now the Giants are getting twitchy fingers and they're thinking, if we still had Odell Beckham, we could be easily flying up to number 2.
Even if they don't. But anyway, Steve, you're John Lynch, number 2, you're on the clock.
49ers on the clock.
Yep. And after a lot of really hard thought, which is not really a hard thought to be honest, the Commissioner Goodell is coming out and calling Nick Bosa for the 49ers at pick number 2. Mainly because I had it was either him or Quinnen Williams that they were taking, but because Andrew is throwing everything out of the wind by taking Williams first, I've gone with Nick Bosa. Actually, it was going to be the pick anyway. I had him first. It was if you had taken Bosa 1, Williams would have been the backup.
So I think the Cardinals, the 49ers have got a really good young defensive line, and they're building a nice defense. They just need their offense to start doing their part.
Everyone, the rumblings are that because of game tape counts for so much. 49ers.
Gav, New York Jets are on the clock.
So
being ruthless today.
So if this does happen, obviously we said that we wouldn't have any trades because it just makes it too hard. But if our scenario was to come to fruition, then the Jets are in dreamland because they're going to get mad shopped for Kyler Murray, and they're a team that definitely wants out of the third pick overall. However, they're not going to take Kyler Murray, obviously, with Sam Darnold available, as their QB. And I think they go to Josh Allen, defensive end. I think they just load up that defense and they give Greg Williams another toy to play with to see what they can do against the Patriots.
Within your 45 seconds, well done.
So the
Pick
Oakland
4,
Raiders.
Oakland Raiders are on the clock, and they're going to do the mental thing that despite having Derek Carr on the roster,
You're going to do it! Do it!
they're going to take Kyler Murray at 4.
Absolutely insane, but I love it.
If this happens, then you will see a trade further down the first round for Derek Carr.
I also think that if Kyler Murray is on the board at pick 2, the Raiders will...
They will jump to 2.
So they've said that that if the right player's available for them, that they'll make the move, and there's a massive chance that Kyler Murray's the right player.
Yep.
And the 49ers are still laughing if they jump back from 2 to 4 because they're still getting Bosa, potentially Williams.
Oh yeah,
Allen,
it's a no lose
Gino.
for the Jets or the 49ers if Murray falls.
Oh, I love it.
So pick 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Our draft wins already now, so it doesn't matter
Steve,
what we
you're
say
on the
for
clock.
rest of it. Right, so Buccaneers. I think based on who's sitting there, there's really 2 choices, but I think the bigger need for them is at linebacker at the minute with the loss of Quan Alexander. Arians wants a young, super talented midfield general in there, and they're going to pick Devin White.
Makes sense. A lot of people have him as one of the best prospects in the full draft, and I think it's Todd Bowles as their defensive coordinator. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
So Bowles had a pretty good defense with the New York Jets. So I think you start to rebuild that. You lost Quan Alexander, so makes sense to me. So that's a pretty good fit.
Next up, Gav, New York Giants.
So the New York Giants will be sweating at this position. Do they draft a quarterback? Do they not? So there's Haskins, there's Drew Lock, there's Daniel Jones.
But it's Dave Gettleman. He's going to be thinking, I need a kicker.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Giants do at this position. They've obviously traded away Odell, so do they potentially look at a wide receiver? But I'm going to say they don't, and I'm going to say they go to the trenches and they take Jawan Taylor to give Eli that bit more protection, to give Saquon that bit more security, because that's the only way that they can be competitive in that division if they're going to stick with Eli. And even if they were to draft a rookie, I don't see it being at that pick.
Sure. Time up. Next, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is the point of the draft where my research runs dry. Thought all about the first 2. So the needs are offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, safety, running back. Oh, let's say they're going to go for the highest rated tight end in the draft, who is, and I've just saw it, and it's
TJ Hawkinson.
That's the one. TJ Hawkinson, tight end. I think that's where the Jags go.
So there's a lot of places that are saying that TJ Hawkinson is the new Gronk, but a bit of a better pass blocker.
He can do everything. So there's the 2 Iowa tight ends. There's Hawkinson and Noah Fant. Fant is the game breaker, Travis Kelce, Jordan Reed type, can bomb it, do all that stuff. Hawkinson, however, has the blocking ability as well.
So I think that'd probably be a good pick.
Just for context, if we look on the NFL site, Daniel Jeremiah has him rated as the 4th talent in the draft.
So it's pretty
overall.
good value if you get him at pick 7.
Yeah, I think that's it.
They need the help there as well.
A nice pick. So, Steve, you're the Detroit Lions. You are Matt Patricia. What do? You can't draft a Patriot.
Disaster. So the obvious thing you would think here would be get yourself some more help on the edge. You've got Trey Flowers that you picked up in the off-season, given someone on the other side. And a lot of drafts are going for that. But I'm going for Andre Dillard to help on the O-line. I think loading up the other side of the trench that's not his speciality is the best move for the Lions in the current situation, based on value to what you can get pick. There's a couple of people you could go. Ed Oliver's not off the board yet. That would maybe work. Montez Sweat's obviously the big one that some people are thinking will go in that 5 to 10 range. And I'm out of time again, so yeah.
Be an interesting pick, I think.
Buffalo Bills, Gav.
Buffalo Bills. So, they've got about 500 running backs. So,
so it takes Josh Jacobs off the board.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen. I do think, however, you need to address some of your defensive issues. They've made some moves in the off-season to try and support Josh Allen, so I think that you'll see Ed Oliver come off the board here and give them a bit of a game wrecker up the middle. Oliver, people are so up and down on, but I think that he'd be a good fit.
He's risen very quickly over the last few months. He was second half round 1. quite consistently in a lot of early drafts.
And
And
Sean
now he's solid top 10.
Sean McDermott, that's his name, isn't it? Is that
Sorry, the Bills, yes.
Yeah. So he was defensive coordinator. I think that'll be his pick.
Cool. And now at 10, Denver Broncos. What don't they need?
Paxton Lynch.
One edge rusher they're okay with, having Von Miller.
They need a bit of everything, to be honest. And the pick, I think they'll go defensive line as well. Another defensive tackle, Christian Wilkins from Clemson. Yeah,
So
I think he'll be the Broncos pick.
So there's been some rumblings that the Broncos might take a successor to Joe Flacco. I think you just put unnecessary pressure on Joe Flacco if you do that right now. So I would maybe wait a year or two.
I think they can afford at least till next year.
Flacco is
possibly in a couple
serviceable.
of years.
I know he gets a bit of a rough gig, but I think for the Broncos
If he
rebuild,
turns it on anywhere close to what he did in that 2012 playoff season,
yeah.
just something else.
Yep. So Steve, you are Zach Taylor for the Cincinnati Bengals
Ooh.
in the war room. The Bengals top that you didn't like, you're having to wear it.
So I originally had Hawkinson as my number one.
So he's gone
off the board. So where am I going with? I think I'll probably go into the O-line again. I think I'll pull out Garrett Bradbury at center.
Wow.
I originally touted him for going to the Giants at pick 17, but seeing as you already addressed the O-line, I thought doubling your O-line in round one's a little bit.
It's OTT.
So I can move him about. And I think Bengals help. It'll help. They've got a pretty solid widey core with Green and Boyd. Gives Dalton a bit more help, who is bang average, but more protection you give him, the better. They haven't replaced Whitworth since he went, albeit I know Garrett Bradbury plays in centre, but any help in your O-line you get is going to make things better for the Bengals.
Yep, makes sense.
But Zach Taylor knows that. He probably has seen the fact that the Whitworth moving over, how much better it did them.
Yeah.
Gav, Packers.
So Aaron Rodgers is making this pick.
What toys are going to give himself to play with?
Yeah, so I think you're going to see the second tight end off the board here. Noah Fant is going to go to the Packers. He is apparently the more of the offensive weapon and better in the passing game than Hawkinson. And they're both
Packers still got Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, so I think what you
Keep
do
this
is
year and double up.
yes.
Oh, that could be fun to watch.
And then also you don't need to worry about what do you do when Jimmy Graham's contract's up. So
Yeah. Succession plan is
yeah,
organised.
yeah. Noah Fant from Iowa ticks the box for the Green Bay Packers. Keeps Aaron Rodgers happy because he's got someone else to throw the ball to.
Next pick 13, unlucky for some, the Miami Dolphins.
So I'm going to quickly put you on the spot. I know you've only got a limited amount of time. If you're the Dolphins and
There's only been one quarterback off the board, you've got to go quarterback.
would you consider a trade for Derek Carr?
Oh,
Would you give up pick 13 for Derek Carr because we've got Kyler Murray going to the Raiders?
Without doubt,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would too.
And I think for pick 13 is really good value as well.
Yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hopefully Dolphins fans are listening are liking it too.
So yeah, actually, Andrew, I've ruined some of your clock time. So where are you going?
Dwayne Haskins.
They're going quarterback anyway.
Yeah.
No, absolutely makes sense. Tannehill was traded away for a backup job. You've got the Fitzmagic in there, but you know he's going to be streaky as anything.
Did you see that he blamed his weight issue on cake?
What a lad. What a lad.
That's amazing. I hadn't seen
I
that.
love Fitzmagic.
He said that he's got 7 kids, so there was like 4 birthday parties in the space of like a 3-week period. So he claimed his weight on cake.
Oh, it's amazing.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Every off-season I balloon because 1 month half of my kids all have their birthdays.
Unbelievable. So, Steve, you're in Atlanta, and you are Thomas Dimitrov this time.
Yep.
What do
There's
you think?
really only one place Falcons need help with after last year, and that is the defense. You could actually argue everywhere in the defense. Yeah, okay, injury was part of the issue last year, but they were so exposed. Offensively, they were fine, actually, last year. Defensively, they were just in trouble. They've got Grady Jarrett back for another year at least because he's signed his franchise tag, but I still think he needs some help. on your front end there. You still got Rashan Gary on the board, have we not?
We do.
We do.
We'd have him no longer on the board. The Falcons are picking him. Which I actually think, if he gets as far as 14 for the Falcons are going to be loving that. Because a lot of drafts have him going in that 5 to 10 window.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was, in the early mock drafts, he was slated in that top 4.
Yep.
Was it not him? Was he not battling Josh Allen for third, going to the Jets and quite a few? Yeah. So how things change,
Gav, your Washington Redskins.
Yeah. So Bruce Allen. I look forward to us drafting a punter at this position, or a kicker. But no, actually, the Redskins have got so many things that they could do. We could go quarterback. We could go wide receiver. We could go linebacker. We could go defensive end. The 2 tight ends are off, so I don't see us doing that. But the Redskins have a history of taking players with injury concerns, and for that reason, I think we take Montez Sweat, who smashed the combine. So yeah, I think him coming off the edge with that speed, with Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen, and Deron Payne, I think that would be a nice fit, and I think the Redskins would be delighted if Sweat's on the board at 15. I'm doing pretty good at staying on my time.
You are.
There's only one of us that isn't doing that. Surprise, surprise.
Next up, Carolina Panthers. So they've got a few needs. There's obviously a big question this year, will Cam Newton be fit or not? The more we hear, the more likely I think it is that he will be fit. Not that they would address quarterback through the draft this year anyway. They've got a few areas of needs. I think with what we've got on the board, I think they would go linebacker, and Devin Bush would be the second linebacker off the board.
I like it.
Makes sense. The Panthers, I feel like, are going to be a team of mediocrity for the next 3 to 4 years. I can't see them winning that division. I think the Bucks.
The division is stacked. It's a hell of a division.
And in 3 or 4 years, see how successful Arians is.
That's what I was just going to
get
to.
Bucks as well. It's not going to get any easier that division.
That could be the beginning of the tipping point of the Saints, depending on how far Breeze goes. It could be then on the down low.
So
17, Steve. We've got the New York Giants. We obviously had them take Josh Allen as an edge rusher at 3. You're on the clock.
That was the Jets. I got so confused there for a minute. I was like, oh my god.
Joanne Taylor as an offensive tackle at 6.
Yeah, so originally I thought they would, if they got this far down, and I'm assuming they addressed quarterback early, therefore I was going to give them some O-line help, and it would have been Bradbury at that point. However, based on needs and who's left, kind of in two minds. Whether the cornerbacks, whether it's reaching a little bit at 17, because not many of them have been.
There's only really one cornerback. I think it's
Brian Murphy.
Brian Murphy and the other one Baker. What's his name?
DeAndre Baker.
Yeah, those two are the only ones.
In their sort of low 20s.
You've got 6 seconds.
6 seconds, right? So I'm rocking out to the podium, and I'm going to pick Marquise Brown. I'm going to give them a wide receiver.
Okay, that's interesting.
Hollywood Brown.
To help.
So he is AJ Brown's cousin. I think Eli will never be able to throw the ball to him because he can't throw it that far. So that's a wasted pick, Steve. Well done.
Thanks.
So you don't think if at 17 with Drew Lock still on the board that the Giants might be tempted there?
I think they might be. There's two ways to look at it though. They could think. They could think that
very good point.
There's a chance for. There's a chance for them though. The next bunch of teams probably don't need a quarterback, so they might be one of those teams that jump from round 2 to 1 to get the quarterback.
Sneak a end of day 1/3.
Just like Lamar Jackson last year. It could
it's Gettleman's plan.
Maybe.
It'll come with fruition.
Next up, Gav with the Minnesota Vikings.
So the Vikings have had a pretty horrendous offensive line for forever. They also lost some of their. No, they lost Anthony? No, Anthony Barr re-signed, didn't he? Did he re-sign with the Vikings?
Sorry, yes.
In the end.
He was meant to go to the Jets and then stayed at home.
That's right. So they lost Sheldon Richardson, so I think the Vikings will go defensive line, and they're going to take another gamble on a guy called Jeffrey Simmons, who does have some injury concerns, but and it might be
SEC's leading tackles for loss since 2016.
Yeah, he's supposed to be an absolute beast, a big dude that can just ruin people. So I think that he's been compared to like Fletcher Cox, just a game wrecker. So I think for the Vikings that makes sense. I was over my 45 seconds.
And another unprepared pick. Tennessee Titans. What do the Tennessee Titans need? It's all that defensive tackle, defensive end, like so many teams. What have we got on the board? We have... At this point, we go very quiet. We'll go with Clellan Ferrell on the edge at pick 19.
So Ferrell is someone that's been all over the top 20. I've seen him go as high as 8, 9, 10, round about that area. But I've also seen him drop right down.
So 20s.
So it's hard to predict at this stage, and I guess it's more about what's available is going to change how teams pick. But I think that probably makes sense.
But also by this point, a lot of teams have Brian Burns already off the board, but we don't. We still have him on our board as well. So it's whether they're, between them two, who is the higher.
The NFL GMs, if NFL GMs want to know anything, they'll listen to this podcast.
Oh, definitely, yeah, 100%.
So, Steve, you are the ever cohesive Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, which fine they're going to go defense, but I'm going to change it up. I'm not giving them another defensive player. Only because we're sitting at 20 and DK Metcalf is still on the board. And I'm thinking, do you know what? He should be gone by now. In most drafts, he's gone. I'm thinking, I can replace AB here. Give me a speedster down the outside. Juju is going to be solid. He's going to be number one. You can take him on the other side and just bomb it. Kind of like what
keep the defense honest.
Yep. Pick 20. The Steelers will take DK Metcalf.
I've heard loads of mixed reviews about him. He was another one that obviously smashed the combine, but apparently he's only really good at running 3 routes.
He doesn't have a lot to his game, is the word, but he is astounding in terms of athletics and putting up numbers, in combine. And he looks like an absolute monster.
He does look huge.
Seattle Seahawks, Gav, you're on the clock.
So they've obviously lost defensive line with Frank Clark going to the Chiefs. So I can see them going straight into that, but it's hard because I feel like the Seahawks are in a position where can you support Russell Wilson anymore? Can you give him something? Because Doug Baldwin didn't have the greatest year last year. Tight end game isn't very good, but the 2 tight ends are gone. So for me, I think that the Seahawks stay true to their defense and they'll take Dexter Lawrence from Clemson. The Clemson D-line is pretty highly rated in this draft, so I see them just getting that another piece
more
in
so
the D.
than the old Alabama defense, I think.
Yeah, yep. So that's my take. Dexter Lawrence goes to the Seattle Seahawks.
Wait, did you go through the Redskins' first round pick and not pick an Alabama defensive player?
Well, there is that. I ran out of time.
Your hand was forced, like me and the Giants.
Yeah. So.
Baltimore Ravens at 22. I'm on the clock now. They obviously drafted quarterback last year, so that isn't a need for them. Edge, wide receiver, linebackers, defensive line.
Basically everything.
I am going to go onto the edge, and I think they are going to take Brian Burns.
So Burns is someone that I know that was rumoured to be going to the Redskins. A lot of mock drafts had him going there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. The Ravens need to get wide receivers from the draft because no decent franchise wide receiver is going to sign there because Lamar Jackson can't throw it.
Yeah,
so you need people that are going to develop with him.
Yep.
So Steve, you are
Texans.
Houston.
Alright, well,
one of your
there's
teams.
only one.
One of your teams. One of the 32 teams I like.
Glory hunting bastard. There's only one place they need like so much help it's not even funny, and that is on the O-line. So I'm not looking anywhere other than that. There is a couple on the board, but my head says that Cody Ford will be the pick at this point to help shore up for Watson, because he got battered a good bit last year.
I think
he did okay, but he kind of got battered.
Yeah, but Watson puts himself in a position to be battered, but that's a discussion for another day. And well done, you had 5 seconds remaining and you've made your
pick. Is that the first time Steve's been in his window?
Steve.
Well done, Steve.
So for Gav,
here's a participation medal.
Gav, you have the same team for your next 2 picks actually. Pick 24, the Oakland Raiders. You're on the clock.
Yep, so we're going to Alabama. We've got Kyler Murray. We've got Kyler Murray in the building, so we want to give him as much protection as possible. And we take Jonah Williams, offensive guard. A lot of people say that he's one of the best guards in the draft, and that he's got Pro Bowl potential. So I can see them. If they get Kyler Murray, they have to give him the best possible protection. Donald Penn got let go, didn't he?
I want to
Or has
say
he
yes.
re-signed? I can't remember.
Not sure.
But either way,
He was meant to be a cap casualty. He was certainly on the list for it. Whether he actually went or not, I don't know. Colton Miller didn't work out very well last year, but whether he gets a year 2, whether kicking him over at the right is going to help, I don't know.
yeah.
Or
So
is that what they did last year when he wasn't? I can't even remember.
yeah. So Jonah Williams, and to beef up that offensive line, boom.
Absolutely makes sense.
Next up for me is the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they will address a need at safety at pick 25 with Jonathan Abram still on the board here, and he's the first defensive back off the board at all in this mock draft. So Jonathan Abram at 25 for the Eagles.
Which then jumps in at 26, which is the Colts. Now, considering how well they did last year, which was a bit of a surprise, and actually, they've kind of done an okay job, Ballard, of fleshing out the squad a bit the last couple of years. So they don't have quite as many holes as they used to having. Looking though at the board, though, versus what I think need, I've got a funny feeling they might then take the second safety off the board, and it probably Nasir Adderley, I think, would go at this point. So safety followed by safety, only because I don't think they need much help in cornerback, and technically you could say that cornerbacks are slightly higher in terms of value as to what you would get now, but because they don't need the help, take the safety instead.
Okay, and Gav, back to the Raiders again.
So the Raiders have been quite offensive. They've taken Kyler Murray. They've got Jonah Williams, but now they make a move to get someone in on the secondary. They take in. Have we got Byron Murphy? Have I missed him?
Byron Murphy's still there.
Yep.
Byron Murphy, cornerback from Washington. He comes in, and again, that's another one of the names that people have got as the top-rated cornerback in the draft, and I think that's something that the Raiders will look to do. Surprisingly, though, in the way that our drafts fell, they've not addressed the Khalil Mack loss yet.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So
But there's always a second
round?
wave of people let go as well after the draft.
Yeah,
So-
so you might be able to pick up a vet.
So I do wonder if that's something they'll do. But that, obviously, time will tell.
Yeah, okay, and after the Raiders, we then go back to the LA Chargers.
Kev's LA Chargers.
Yes, Kev, our faithful listener, LA Chargers.
So you've still got the quarterbacks on the board. Are you going to consider that?
No, because I think...
Because Tyrod Taylor's the future. Boom.
Indeed, yeah.
You got in.
No, I don't think... if they were going to take a quarterback in this draft, I think they would move up
Who they want.
to get who they want. I don't think Drew Lock's the one we've got left, isn't it?
Yep.
It is. No, I don't think he's the pick for the Chargers. I think I had a pick in my mind and it's totally gone out of my head, so thanks for that, guys. Who did I have?
Do you know what position it was?
No, I don't. I really don't. Let's go with cornerback and the best name in the draft. Rock Ya-Sin.
That is the best name in the draft. There's no argument.
Did he win the poll as well on Twitter?
Yeah, by about 3 votes to 2.
What's that low? Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Steve.
Yep.
Seattle Seahawks are acquired just yesterday from the Kansas City Chiefs.
So when I kind of prepped this all up, it was Chiefs. But I hadn't even looked at... You're laughing.
At prep.
Prep. What?
Yeah,
Is that
Steve.
again?
Just go.
Yeah.
And so I was going to be addressing defence. It's now the Seahawks. I still think they'll go defence, though, only to make Legion of Boom 2.0. DeAndre Baker's still on the board at this point. I think at 29, that's pretty good for them if they can swoop him up.
DeAndre Baker to Seattle. Yep. Cornerback. Gav, Packers again. I think it's the second time you're picking for this team as well.
Basically, I'm going to be supporting the Packers and the Raiders next year. So we addressed the tight end position with Noah Fant. We gave Green Bay that position. So I think now they go to their secondary, and I think they'll take Greedy Williams, another fantastic name.
I love it.
I think he's one of the fastest cornerbacks in this draft, and I think when you're up against, so you've got the Bears, you've got the Vikings.
Thielen and Diggs are the Vikings.
Yeah, you've got some people that you need to cover. So
White and Robinson.
Yep, and then
well, I say White. I don't even know what he managed in his draft. But,
yeah,
So
I think Greedy Williams goes to Green Bay.
Was it the Bears that picked up Humphreys from Tampa Bay?
No, it was the Titans.
Oh, they got Titans, right? Okay.
So yeah, Greedy Williams is now replacing Clinton Dix as the best name in Green Bay.
Pick 31. I'm now the LA Rams. That is not saying a sentence that I want to say.
Are you going to call their draft?
I am now struggling.
47
defensive
kickers.
line, defensive tackle, edge, running back. You know what? I think we haven't had a running back off the board
We've
yet.
No.
Josh Jacobs is still there.
Josh Jacobs is still there. They need a running back too. With actually Gurley's knees in doubt as well. They might even need a running back one. Josh Jacobs running back all the way down at 31.
Yeah.
Would be a surprise.
Yeah, it's not really what you'd call a position of need, but I totally understand that logic. If you've got this far down the draft, there's no running back taken. He would. Original drafts had him at like 5 going to Tampa Bay and stuff.
Yeah, so again, referring back to Daniel Jeremiah's top 100 prospects, he's got him ranked as the number 8 talent in the draft. So huge value to pick him up at 31.
So how many quarterbacks have you got off the board?
2.
2.
And we've got
the
New England Patriots.
So
do the succession plan here?
Well, so originally, I mean, obviously, we're not going for movement. If there was movement, the Patriots would not be here. I'm convinced they'd be trading back anyway. If they were here, originally, because I'm thinking the quarterbacks were not going to be on the board by this point, so originally I had them down as Irv Smith Jr., tight end. Now, there has been a bit of question whether he is technically the second best tight end in the draft, and splits Hawkinson and Fant and puts Fant down to third. And then it was the obvious replacement with Gronk leaving, Puckin Smith Jr. So I think I'm going to stick with that based on what I originally thought, and they would still get their succession plan maybe in round 2.
Irv Smith Jr. at tight end, the New England Patriots at 31.
Drew Lock's still on the board, and Daniel Jones is the other one that many people would think would be gone in round 1.
And because we are a full participation podcast, we do go into the first pick of round 2 so that we each get 11 picks each. Gav, who are the Arizona Cardinals taking with the first pick of day 2?
So by this time, by we get to pick 33, Steve Kime's already been sacked for not taking Kyler Murray.
Not getting rid of.
Cliff Kingsbury's handed his notice in because he wanted Kyler Murray.
They've traded Quinnen Williams away.
And Case Keenum's your starting quarterback. So if Josh Rosen's your quarterback, you need to protect him because he was terrible under pressure. Absolutely terrible. The top offensive line guys are pretty much gone. So I think what you do is you look and see if you can get someone in the second round for the O-line. This is the second round. How many picks in the second round do the Cardinals have? Just one?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe later on in the draft then. So I'm going to go for A.J. Brown as wide receiver from Mississippi as your successor to Larry Fitz. He's a big slot receiver and has a lot of physical attributes like Fitz. So there you go.
And that was our mock draft.
How many are we going to say that? Right, because obviously we can't project for trades, but we'll take the position, so where the player goes.
Yep.
So we've got 33 picks. How many do you think we get right?
3.
10%?
I think
1%?
I think
we'll get picked 2 right. I think we might even get pick 3 right as well. I think pick 1 and 4 are wrong, even though it was me that put them out there.
But that's because we're doing it on what we want to happen,
Yeah.
not what always will happen.
I think I would be delighted if we got 5. To be perfectly honest.
I think that's
It's
roughly what we
shaken
got
down
last
okay.
year.
I don't think there's anything really. So my second Giants pick was potentially, because at that point, yeah, you're probably taking a quarterback instead of,
I do think 3 quarterbacks come off the
Whitey.
board in round 1.
Yeah, I think we've
only
got that right.
2.
which we haven't accounted for. But so we ain't going to be right. We ain't going to be 100%. But I'd like to think we've done every team justice in who we've picked for them.
Were you shocked with any pick? Any pick that you didn't expect?
As I run round the
So
table
obviously,
to refresh my memory,
so obviously the Kyler Murray one was a bit of a game changer, but
I think Oliver falling to the Bills is quite good for them. Is that? I don't know if it's too high for him. It's probably not.
not when Aaron Rodgers is picking.
Yeah. DK Metcalf falling to 20. It's a bit out of the ordinary compared to what the experts say, but the rest of it seems to be fairly in order.
Yeah.
I'm happy enough with it.
So
We'll put this draft out on the social media channels, and you can point and laugh at us when it's all wrong. But if you're pointing and laughing at us, at least you're speaking to us. So
yeah,
We'll take it.
we'll take that. We'll take the abuse. So yeah, that was our second mock draft that we've done as a podcast.
yep.
Is this the inaugural draft part 2? Does that work? Inaugural means
No,
one
inaugural's
doesn't it?
first.
Steve
What's
goes
that
senile.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll
It's
shut
just our second mock draft, mate.
Yeah, we've done this twice, Steve. You were there the last time too.
up. Was it?
So
We did
yeah,
over Skype that time.
We did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Only about an hour and a half.
yeah,
Might have blethered a lot. The
Yeah.
timer definitely helped this time. Keep
Yep.
that in check for future.
Okay.
keep you in check for future.
Just me. That was
yeah.
proved at a meeting today, was it not? The fact that Hughes Hall had a meeting without me and it was finished in 10 minutes. If I'm in that meeting, it extends
It
way
overruns
past-
from its 45
way
minute
past
slot.
the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all on me. I'll shut up.
Yes.
So yeah, the draft will be on Friday night, 12:30. So Thursday night, whatever way you want to look at, Friday morning, Thursday night. I am definitely staying up to watch it. I've done it the last 3 years, so I'm going to do it again.
Maniac.
And
I am not. I might stay up to see the first pick.
well, either way, it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to see all the drama that unfolds.
Exciting times.
And then all the drama that comes after it, like I said, the second wave of cuts from the vets, etc.
Is our man Jamie Gillen going to get picked up?
We hope so. We hope
do
so.
hope so, yeah.
Yep. We spoke to him in episode 37.
Yep.
Yep.
So you
So
can check that one out.
yeah. So thank you for tuning in. Andrew, where can you find us?
You can find us on all the usual places.
Yes, you can.
So you can find us on Twitter at the AFcast.
Bus stops,
Search,
street corners.
search
And
the American
Boston,
Fitbaw Cast on Facebook. Come speak to us as always. Let us know how wrong we are.
Thank you very much for tuning in. And Steve, where can the guys find you?
Me?
You personally.
What?
An old folks. Jeez.
No, I was
Note
gonna
to
say
self:
is-
never ask Steve a question.
all I was
Piling
gonna
up
say-
his 3 dishwashers to see if they're as tall as Willie McGuinness.
all I was going to add is that we have a refresh website. It is at fcpod.net/podcast/afcast. That updated link will be on all the social media site shares that I do, or on the Podbean page. We'll get all that.
There's more
updated for
slashes
you.
in, or sorry, was there more slashes in there than the amount of slashes Steve does during the night?
Twitter poll. That's what that one is. It's the next one.
Fantastic.
So thank you for listening. Please rate, review, and share with your friends. It helps us grow the podcast. And thank you for tuning in. Au revoir.
You've been listening to another great podcast from the Fair City Podcast Network, a group dedicated to connecting and developing podcasts. Check out fcpod.net for more great podcasts and content.